Welcome back to RD Confidential.
That's not going to be the name.
Today we're building lower body strength with the Goblet Squat, and we're sharing our first nutrition habit.
I got stuck with that disapproving face for a little too long.
Dad face. Welcome back to Results Driven Fitness's fitness show.
All the fitnesses.
Too many fitnesses. We want to be a resource for everybody out there who's looking for reasonable training advice. A lot of our members say, I went on YouTube to look up fat loss, and the next thing you know, it's pictures of people with 8 and 12 packs and 15 packs.
It was a 14 and a half pack.
Terrible accident, and we can't speak of it. But it's most of the time not reasonable and tactical advice for people in our community. So we want to bring reasonable advice on fitness and nutrition and everything that's going to make you better to you right here through the YouTube.
So with this show, we're trying to stay current with what's happening in the gym here at Results Driven and what's happening overall in the fitness industry. This month's theme being the beginning of a new year is just getting started or building your foundation. One of the most important moves that we use here, or really the foundation of a lot of people's total body strength, is the Goblet Squat. So we're going to talk about why we like the Goblet Squat and some ways to help you improve it.
We're also going to introduce you to our first nutrition habit that we follow through the precision nutrition habit-based system. So if you're trying to get started in the new year, this is a great place to start. Let's get started. Ring, 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 ring.
Doctor's office.
I have the flu. What can cure it?
10 goblet squats. Call me in the morning.
What? Why are you here, young man?
I'm deathly afraid of spiders.
Have you tried squatting? Damn it!
What happened now?
My pants fell off again.
Do you even squat, bro?
Oh.
Goblet squats have been known to cure the flu, help people overcome their fear of spiders, and help bros keep their pants up without a belt.
But if there's one thing you know about us here at Results Driven, or that you'll find out by watching the show, is we're not going to oversell any exercise or any modality or anything for anybody, because it's all different depending on the person.
So goblet squats are great for lower body strength, but understand that they're just one of the patterns that we train here. The reason the goblet squat is a good exercise to work towards is it involves a lot of joints, and anytime you can involve a lot of joints in one exercise, you're more likely to burn calories and build total body strength.
It's also an easy exercise for us as coaches to modify based on the person. We can limit the depth so that the person doesn't have to squat as deeply. We can raise their heels to make it easier just for them to squat in general. Or we can use different implements to make it heavier or lighter, again, based on the individual's needs.
And if you know that you have pain during squatting, don't try to force it. We can always find another substitution or another pattern we can train to build lower body strength.
So right now we're going to go through the demonstration of the goblet squat, then we're going to come back and talk about some of the ways that we modify the exercise for the individual.
I'm excited.
Me too. Hey guys, Coach Mike here with your Fit Tip. This month we're talking about getting started, and one of the best exercises to get started with is the goblet squat. To get started with the goblet squat, first we have to understand how to get into the goblet position. The goblet position means the kettlebell is right in front of your heart. So you're going to be holding the kettlebell where your hands meet the heavy part. Your upper arm is going to rest against your rib cage, and try to keep the elbows tight to the body as well. To start the goblet squat, first grip the ground with your feet and pull your elbows to the floor. Then imagine pulling your butt between your heels as you descend into the squat. Think about a 3 count on the way down, hold the bottom for a 3 count, and then go up for a 3 count. Make sure when you finish the goblet squat, you think plank. Quads tight, butt tight, and continue to pull those elbows to the floor to keep the core tight. Remember, on the way down in the squat, you're going to breathe in and then exhale to push yourself out of the bottom. This has been your Fit Tip.
So like we just mentioned, there's a lot of joints involved in the squat. Even though that makes it an effective exercise, it also means that we need more joints to function appropriately. So the main joints that cause an issue for people in the squat are the ankle, hip, and the thoracic spine or the mid-back.
So one of our favorite modifications that we make here is raising the heels to help the person squat more efficiently. By raising the heels, it takes a little bit of the stress off of the ankle, and a lot of the times things just magically work out and the person's able to squat a lot better. It's pretty cool to see as a coach.
So if you feel strong in the heels elevated squat, rock on, keep training it, but let's make sure we address ankle mobility. Last week we showed an FMS screen and talked about the FMS corrective algorithm. Before we go any further into how we would address ankle mobility and then help transfer that over into the squat, just understand that the squat is one of the last things that we would actually work to correct. So we'll use a movement like the heels elevated squat and other lower body training movements while we work on ankle mobility, and then eventually down the road, we'll take out the elevation of the heels. Before we look to progress to a squat with the heels on the ground, we would start working on ankle mobility. The first step would be soft tissue work. One thing that tends to work pretty well is a lacrosse ball to the calf. After that, we would go to an ankle mobility drill. One of our favorites is the open half kneel ankle mob. It's a move that helps retrack how the ankle actually glides and helps open up the mobility. With most movements, we would then go into a static stability drill. The thing with the squat is we aren't gonna sit there and retrain static stability at the ankle unless somebody's coming off of an injury. So if we just use a well-rounded exercise program where we train in a variety of different kneeling positions like half kneel and tall kneeling, we access enough ground-based movement and work in enough loaded carries, it's pretty easy to transition to the squat. If somebody struggles when we take away the heel elevation, all we'll do is actually train the bottom position of the squat, teach them how to hold it, and then bring the whole range of motion together.
The whole point of what Ed is talking about is, as coaches here, it's our job to put our members in a position to succeed. So we want to do a front end evaluation with the functional movement screen to make sure we just know how the person moves. After that, we want to give them exercises like Ed was talking about, different mobility and stability drills to make them more functional. And then it's our job as coaches on the floor to be able to make the calls on the fly while the person's working out, to keep them moving, to get them sweaty, and make them more functional and stronger over time.
What Mike's really saying is a lot of this stuff is kind of complicated and dorky trainer stuff. Just understand that if you find a way to work around your restrictions, make sure you don't do anything that hurts, and address mobility where you're lacking, over time you're gonna win.
And it's all about winning if you're trying to achieve your goals.
Yay.
So the theme of this month is setting the foundation to achieve your goals in the new year.
Just in case you didn't know, we're gym and fitness is kind of our thing.
But we also know that nutrition is a big part of what helps people get results, whether they are performance results or they are body composition results.
My original background is in nutrition, so I understand the nutritional biochemistry and everything that happens in the body that helps really drive people towards their goal. But just having that knowledge wasn't enough. We needed a system that was going to help us communicate with clients. That's where the precision nutrition system came in. So they have set habits that all of the coaches can work with our clients on, but they also give a lot of guidance into how we can work with the change psychology necessary to help people achieve their goal.
Precision nutrition is based on tracking habits. So literally when you walk in our front door, on the wall are the 10 nutrition habits that Precision Nutrition recommends to help coaches help their clients.
The first habit in the precision nutrition system is eating every 2 to 4 hours. Now, before we even get to that, let's just get into the client mindset. Anytime we talk about nutrition with our clients, one of the first things that comes up is how many calories should I eat? Tracking calories over time is something that just tends to get most people in a weird place. They tend to overanalyze what they're doing and think that restriction is always the answer. Peace of mind. The thing with the precision nutrition habits is they have a way of putting you in the zone you need to be in without that awkward, stressful mindset. So if we take some of their prerequisite habits like eating slowly and stopping at 80% full, and we couple that with eating every 2 to 4 hours, we've already handled calories. So let's break that down for a minute. If we take eating slowly and stopping at 80% full, that's gonna handle each individual meal. If you stop at 80% full, meaning I could eat some more, but I don't need to, you're probably not under eating or overeating calories in that individual meal. If you then combine that with eating every 2 to 4 hours, you're likely over time, yeah, you'll have certain days or certain meals that maybe you go a little under or a little over, but over the course of a month, your calories are gonna be pretty well under control.
Now, how do you know that you have eaten enough over time? This is where we recommend people start food journaling. If you're really trying to make a change, whether it's in working out or it's in nutrition, tracking what you're doing, like if you were trying to budget the money for your home, you wouldn't just randomly do it because you're more than likely not going to hit your goal.
But this is America.
Well, even people in America track their finances, and they should track their workouts and their nutrition. So one of the first things that we recommend people do when they're starting to try to attack a body composition or performance goal, and nutrition is going to be a cornerstone of that, we want them to track how often they're eating and what they're eating to make sure as a coach we have something to look at and evaluate so we know what the next recommendation is for them to continue to make progress.
So the first habit is pretty simple. You're gonna eat every 2 to 4 hours, but how do you make that happen? First, planning is key. So obviously you need to have a plan to make sure you know what you're gonna eat, when you're gonna eat. When we talk to people about this, we generally say that throughout the course of the week, most of their days, they should have 5 meals. This tends to stress some people out. Understand that a meal is just a word we use for a combination of food that you consume that follows your plan. So for most people, and normal people speak, it's gonna be 3 meals and 2 snacks. So we wanna find 3 meals that you can have throughout the day that just to start are reasonable things that you think are healthy, even if they're not perfect. And then in the gaps, in those periods of time throughout the day that you go over 4 hours, have small snacks that are, once again, just something that's reasonable.
Now, if you heard there, Ed was saying it doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the things that we like about this system is that it doesn't have to be stressful. It can be stressful, and nutrition is something that a lot of people get a little bit, I don't want to say obsessed with or crazy about, but it's something that people stress about. Let's just be honest about it. So the precision nutrition system is guidelines for the road. The first habit is just eating every 2 to 4 hours. So it doesn't mean that it has to be the best vegetables you've ever eaten, only kale, only grass-fed beef. Just eat every 2 to 4 hours. And it's really cool the changes that we've seen in people's body composition by just encouraging them to plan ahead and to try to eat every 2 to 4 hours, having around 5 meals a day.
In our fitness system, we talk about progressive resistance training. We want people to either lift more weight, get more work done in the same time, or be able to move a weight faster. Nutrition's the same thing. You have to start somewhere. So if you start off not having breakfast and not eating till noon and then having a big meal when you get home from work at 7 o'clock at night, if you even just get closer to eating every 2 to 4 hours, it's gonna help you make changes in body composition. One big thing that Mike brought up was like kind of people stressing or freaking out over it. You're going to. And that's why we recommend that everyone talk to a coach. So when you get those moments that you start to bring unnecessary anxiety to the process, just have somebody to talk it out with. If you're here, talk to one of the coaches at Results Driven. If you're doing this on your own, well, there's your first problem. Find a friend, find a family member, find somebody that can either do it with you or at least be a sounding board for you when you get frustrated.
Having a coach is important, and especially here at Results Driven, after somebody's written down everything that they've eaten, from all the kale to cake and wine and steak, they're gonna talk to a coach, we're gonna sit down with them, and we're gonna analyze their food journal. Again, it's all about getting better over time. We don't expect you to be perfect from day one, just like when you walk in the door to go through the movement screen, we don't expect you to be the perfect human specimen. Your food journal is gonna have wine and Chinese food. Totally cool. We want to sit there and analyze the food journal with you and say, what is the next step that you can make either in executing the every 2 to 4 hours habit, or hey, we're crushing every 2 to 4 hours. Second habit is having protein with every meal. So how can we start to address that? It's all about those small changes over time to help our clients start making progress towards their goals.
So cake, then wine, then steak?
Actually,
or is it wine on the steak and then cake on top?
Cut the cake in half, reduce the wine, steak, reduce.
Wait, drink
steak.
less wine?
You can have a wine while you reduce the wine.
So thank you for joining us on this episode on The Tube. the YouTube, but the cool kids call it the tube. It's about you. So on the next episode, we're gonna talk about how your elbows can teach you how to squat. They're bossy.
And we're also going to meet Coach Janine, and she's going to talk about the results that she's gotten here at Results Driven as a member, and why community was a big part of that, and what it's like to be a coach. Until then, enjoy your squats. I hope they help you from overcoming your fear of spiders and start food journaling.